From Orlando, Florida and Tulsa, Oklahoma, welcome to the 1330 Podcast with your hosts, Keith-nachbor and Brent-Bailey. Pulling from nearly half a century of experience, Brent and Keith share unique wisdom and proven insight to build the leader within you. Interact with us now on Facebook and Twitter at 1330 Podcast or email your questions and comments to 1330podcast@gmail.com. The 1330 Podcast starts right now.
Welcome back to another 1330 podcast where we tackle leadership issues, church issues, youth ministry, life, family, children, how to be awesome, and everything else. I'm Brent-Bailey.
We need more awesome in the world, Brent.
We do. And sitting here next to me is the ever-popular Keith-nachbor. And we have just enjoyed so much of this so far. I mean,
it's been awesome.
I hope this
love doing this. I hope everybody else is having as much fun as we are doing this because I am having a great time.
Yeah. And our studio is the former home of the mega evangelist Oral Roberts, as we are sitting in his personal office
study,
if
as
you
it
will.
were.
And it's a great place. It's got great acoustics in here.
It does.
And
great atmosphere.
Absolutely. And so today we thought we would shift gears a little bit and talk about what do you do with that person that's in your organization, volunteering at your church or your business, that is just the what Keith coined the phrase non-star. They're just not the high capacity individual. What do you do with those kind of people?
I've had those people that volunteered with me before, Brent.
I have those people.
And I really think that you're going to end up with more people that are not all-stars in the beginning than you will in the end. You know what I'm saying? We tend to only want those that are the all-stars. And when you look at the most successful sports teams that are out there, the most successful teams aren't the ones that go out and get all the all-stars, because they don't ever gel together, because everybody wants the spotlight. And the great teams are made up with the kind of the journeyman players that are mixed in with a few all-stars. And I think that we have to start to look at the people that are around us that maybe aren't considered the all-stars as being a lot more important to us than they are. Because they may not be a high-capacity leader for you, but they're leaders nonetheless, and they still have capacity.
Well, in our very, very, very first podcast, we talked about what motivates you. And we didn't really get into specifics, of really what motivates us. But one of the things that really motivates me is the potential for something to be awesome.
Yes.
And really, when it comes to dealing with people that are non-stars, you have to look past where they are right now to what their potential is. Because whatever capacity you're serving in right now, whether it's CEO, head pastor, manager, or journeyman, as you will, wherever you are right now, somebody had to look and see you as having that potential, or else you wouldn't be there.
Because I'm a prime example of that,
you would
Brent.
never have gotten an opportunity to be where you are right now if somebody hadn't seen that potential in you.
I got my start where I thought I was going to finish, because I had somebody who believed in me.
Yeah.
And they looked past all of the nonsense,
tomfoolery,
and lack of experience, and just immaturity a lot. They really looked past a lot of that because I was young, and they put me in a position that far exceeded what I thought my abilities were, but they allowed me to grow into it. And they allowed me to develop. They allowed me to make some mistakes. And over the course of time, I got corrected. I got in trouble. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't I'm going to fire you, and I can't believe you did something so stupid. And, they went after me and attacked my character and who I was. They dealt with the issue, and then they loved me afterwards. And when you end up with somebody that has potential, that isn't an all-star yet, you have to look past those things as well, because somebody took a chance on all of us at some point. We didn't, again, I understand that there are people that are those, quote, natural born leaders, but those are few and far between. And most of the other people that are out there are going to fall somewhere between, underneath that. And we've got to take a chance on those people and help them discover who they are, what God created them to do, and give them that opportunity to do those things that God created them for. And that all comes through relationship. And for me, the thing that motivates me is the opportunity to make you better.
Yeah.
I was praying one day in my office. I'm not a front guy. Brent and I used to do all sorts of stuff together, and Brent was our front man. And I was the guy that just made sarcastic remarks.
I was the lead singer, and you were the lead guitar player.
Yeah, but we both knew our role in that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a competition of, oh, well, I need to come up and try and be the guy, and I'm going to step up and try and stand in front of Brent, or Brent was trying to cover me up. We just knew our role, and we were both comfortable with it. And I'm comfortable with where we are right now. So when we come in and we look at that, we've got to be comfortable with who everybody else is that's around us, and allow them to grow into their role and be who they are.
Now, I understand from my side of it now is you do have some positions that you can't put a novice in,
right,
obviously.
Right.
And you can't, there are, but listen, not every position and every job is an emergency. I've got to have the best of the best in there right now.
Yeah.
And if it is, you need to go and re-examine your company, your church, or your organization.
Brent, I got my start in ministry. You know what I did? I straightened chairs and used a leaf blower to blow the trash out of the youth room. They had bleachers set up in part of it, and it was too hard to get underneath there and vacuum, so they gave us an electric leaf blower, and I would come in after work. I would work my regular 40-hour-a-week job, and I would go up to the church and volunteer, and that was one of the things that I did. That's how I got my start in ministry. Not exactly the most important job in the world. It wasn't critical. It wasn't something that, where it required a lot of thought and a lot of anything else. It was a very basic entry-level position. And the more that I proved myself to be able to do that, I didn't do it very long before they pulled me out to start doing something else. And they developed me and grew me and moved me into that next place in life. That's what it's all about. And so when you end up with somebody that isn't a high capacity leader, you just need to help them find their position. And as I was saying earlier, that's one of the greatest joys that I have in ministry, is to be able to come in and say, man, what is it that you want to do, and how can I help you get there? That is one of my motivating factors. As I was saying earlier, as I was in the office praying, I'm not the front guy, but what I am is I'm a coach. And I'm very comfortable with that, because coaches get all-stars, and all-stars get the credit, but it takes a coach to get them to be all-stars. Mm-hmm. And I'm a coach. That's what I do. I'm a developer of people, and I'm the one that can run the practice, and I'll let those guys run out there and run up and down that court, so to speak, and wear themselves out and be great at what they do. And I'm totally okay with that, because I get to develop people, and I get to see them grow into who they are, and I find joy in that. And if you will find joy and contentment and satisfaction in growing people and developing people, you'll find that you have what you would consider, I may not consider him to be an all-star, or Brent may not consider him to be an all-star, but they're your star.
Yeah.
With where you're at.
But that brings up another thing, and we weren't really prepared to go this way, but what you said spurred this thought. Is some of you that are listening may be leaders and maybe senior pastors or CEOs or what have you, and maybe you're not really that person that is really strong at developing. Well, who on your staff is?
Yeah.
One of the greatest moves we ever made in the things that we were doing was we had people. We got our hands on people who were excellent developers.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, neither one of us are slouchy or anything at that, and we do pretty good at it. But we're talking about
not in every
intimate,
area, though.
Not
Greg.
exactly, not in every area, and not down to the, all the way down to literally just about everything that was going on in their life. The people that they got put with, when you're operating in the pastoral gift, which we both did, and still do. You there's just some things you're not familiar with.
Yep.
Okay, and plus you're running the whole show, so you can't obviously devote as much time to that one person that's doing something that you're not doing it all the time. You're not, doing that job all the time, so you're not proficient in it. But there's somebody on your organization that is, and this is what I was going to say, that creates a position or that creates an outlet for somebody else on your staff to let out their gift.
Yeah.
And so what are you doing? You're actually killing two birds with one stone. You're using this one individual who needs development and needs to be taught, and you're using somebody else who's got a knack for it. And you're at the end of the day, they've both raised their game.
Yeah.
So by investing into the lives of people who are not stars, you're actually creating somebody who's already functioning and went to be an all-star, and somebody who is a not star to become an average Joe. That's such a horrible.
Well, it really comes down to almost the parable of the talents, Brent.
That's exactly what it is.
When you look around at it, I've kind of looked around at it some. When we say, we look at the guy with that poor guy with one talent. If you do it out in 2014 numbers where gold is about $1,200 an ounce, a talent is anywhere between 57 and 130 pounds.
Yeah,
because it's a measure, it's a weight, and they went by Roman talents in the time of Jesus. It was about 75 pounds of gold that the guy was given, which he was given over $1 million.
Yeah, and
we think that he didn't have anything. And people tend to think that, well, I'm a one-talent person, so I don't have anything. And I think one of the biggest things that we as leaders and developers of people need to do is fill people with confidence and explain to them, you have everything that you need in order to do what God has called you to do in life. You just need to learn.
Called you to do
absolutely. And just because, Brent, you're a 5-talent guy and I'm a 1-talent guy, it doesn't mean. It takes just as much effort for me to double my talent as it does for you to double your 5. The same amount of effort is going into that. Yeah. And so we come in and we look at this. We can't look at people and say, well, I only want 5 and 2-talent people. I don't want any of those 1-talent people. Man, the 1-talent people are just as important to your organization as the 5-talent.
The 5-talent guy started as a 1-talent guy, though.
Absolutely.
That pattern,
it's all given.
The 2-talent guy was most likely the 1-talent guy the time before that.
Each according to their own ability.
Yeah.
And according to their ability, it was given to them, and they're going to grow, and they're going to gain more over the course of time. So we have to look at the people that God has put into our organization, and stop judging them based upon what they don't have, but looking at the resources that they do have and the resource that they are for your organization.
And what they could be.
Absolutely. And see them as they can be, not as they are.
We're out of time. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. This is Brent.
I'm Keith. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening, morning, or afternoon.
Thanks for joining us for the 1330 Podcast with Brent and Keith. We want to hear from you. Find us on Facebook and Twitter today at 1330 Podcast or email us directly at 1330podcast@gmail.com. Join us next time for another 13 minutes and 30 seconds geared to change you into the leader that you and those who follow you want you to be.